Hi, welcome to the Vergas Show. I'm Sherri Hanson, and I'm back here with Willie Humbeck, and we are hearing some very interesting stories about his youth and his time that he spent when he was in Germany, when he was born in Germany. And I don't know, I could go on here, but you don't want to hear me talking. We got too much interesting things to hear from Willie. Thank you, Willie, for joining us on the Vergas Show. Last show you talked about being in the Hitler Youth. Okay. Would you explain that to me?
When you were 10 years old, you had to join the Hitler Youth. Otherwise, you were shunned and worse. So anyway, I joined them like any other kid. It was not only for boys, for girls too.
Okay, the girls had no.
Oh, yes.
I did not realize that.
So, then October 44, the war was pretty close towards the end. You knew it, and that's when the system made everybody ready for combat. They called it the Volkssturm, but how would I translate that in English? The people's storm. Everybody who could carry a gun, a weapon, was drafted.
Okay.
And so what we did, it was the middle of October. I don't know the exact date anymore. We left our home and went into that mountainous area where my father supplied prisoners to. And there was a farmer, he took us in, and we lived in a hay barn. See, those days, there was only a farmer had one building. In front, he was living, his living quarters. In the back, all those animals, and on top there were all the feeding, like hay and everything. And that's where we were living, in a little corner, maybe a room like this, not bigger.
So was it like you were hiding there?
We were hiding, right, because the Gestapo was after everybody. If they catch you, they shot you right away.
Okay. And how old were you when that happened?
I was then about close to 12 years old.
12 years old. And so you were, at that time, already one of the Hitler Youth.
Right.
When you were
I was in there for quite, since my 10th year,
Okay. And so what were your responsibilities as a Hitler Youth?
Well, we learned combat games, mainly. Like, for instance, there was a hill, wooded hill. One group of Hitler Youth would hide there and protect the flag. And the other group had to get up there to get the flag.
Catch the flag.
So, and then we got in contact, and that was not pussyfooting. Usually came out with a bloody nose and a swollen eye. Some people even had broke hands and arms. It was really combat, except we didn't shoot at each other. Then you learn shooting. By the way, I'm a good shot, but I don't care for guns. I don't care for war at all, or killing. So we learned shooting, and just basically, there was one good thing. We learned discipline and respect. That we really learned. But many evil things, like how to kill people, or we learned like what they call jiu-jitsu or judo, how to sneak on a guy and kill him or cripple him, how to get into his eyes, where to hit. I even hate to think of it, but those were all the things we learned.
Sure. Okay, so about 12, 14 years old, you were in hiding. How long were you?
Not 12, 14.
Or how old? You were about 12 years old?
We left about when I was 11 years old.
Okay.
October 44 that was. Until April 45, the Americans marched into that little mountain
so you
town.
Were in hiding that whole time?
We were in hiding, and we were so relieved. When first, before the Americans came, German soldiers came running up. There was only one little street, to get into the mountains. They said, the Americans come, the Americans come. And they wanted clothes, civilian clothes. They were taking off their uniform, and but we didn't have anything. The farmer didn't have anything, so they just ran into the mountains. And then shortly after that, you could see 2 tanks coming up the road. Now we were confused. We really were not sure if those were already Americans, But they made it sure. They lifted their guns, and then everybody was taking something white, bed sheets and that all, Surrender. Well, then they came, and the first American who came and talked to us, he talked perfect German.
Oh, that was kind of a comfort to you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh, we were so happy, Then they put us in the basement. We had to stay there all for the late afternoon. It was late afternoon. I even know the time, it was about 4 o'clock. So then they put us in the basement and we had to stay there all night long. And then the next morning they let us out, and that particular group of Americans were gone. In the meantime, there were many Americans in that little town. So when we came up, they took all the fresh stuff, like ham, bacon the farmer had, lunch meats, but they exchanged it for what we hadn't seen for a long time. For the guys, whiskey, for the kids, chocolate, mainly those care packages they were living on.
Okay.
And mainly there was chocolate in, like I said, whiskey barrels, some are half empty, but they left it all there. And our guys were happy to have a shot. And
well, sure.
we were happy to see figs and chocolates and dates, So that was the experience we had when they marched in.
So there had to be just total relief when the Americans came.
We were so relieved you wouldn't believe it.
And so what happened then?
I still get the feeling now when I speak of it. Well, what happened now, then we waited about, and now of course we were anxious to get home. And we didn't have much belongings, maybe, but not much anyway. So then my dad, we helped him bringing all the stuff to the main road, called the highway those days, what it was. The road, like the Vergas road here. So right on the corner down there was a little hay barn, and we put all the stuff. I mean, everything meant a lot those days.
Definitely.
A little stand like that or what, which we throw away today. So he was standing there with a few chairs and lampstand and what all. And then my sister, that's the other story. My sister, my mother and I, we went by foot. It was about 180 kilometers. That's about 130, 140 miles. Right over my thumb. Yeah, by foot.
By foot.
So nothing was going. There were dead horses laying on the highway and everything, bad. So we cut short ways over the mountains. Then we went to train tunnels. No trains were going. Nothing, everything was bombed out. So we made it to one other town, and then finally we catched a little truck which was driven by coal, and he had by coal fuel. So we were packed on there, and he drove us then home.
What did you find when you got home?
Yeah, we finally got home and lived with my grandparents. We didn't have a home, by the way.
Okay.
We didn't have a home anymore. So we lived with my grandparents on my mother's side.
Had your home been destroyed in the bombings?
Everything was flat out.
So
and about, I would say 14 days later, we looked through the window and there comes a semi-truck. With my dad hanging on the side there.
What a relief.
So we were so glad seeing him. And then he was the organizer. He somehow organized to get about a mile away, bombed out home, but the walls were all there, but there were no more windows or doors in there. So he started fixing that up, and that's where we moved in then, and we lived there for about what? He fixed it better and better. We were living there, I would say, for 2 years.
Okay, all right.
3 years.
Well, Willie, I want to hear just a little bit more, and so I'm going to ask you to come back for one more segment here. And so I want to hear about how you ended up coming over to the United States again, and how you met your lovely wife. And so I will be right back with you on the Vergas Show. You have a good day in Vergas.